Hi everyone! Today I'm doing a January 2016 wrap-up video where I talk about all the books that I've read this month. Altogether I've read 11 books this month, which is pretty good for me, and I guess I'm trying extra hard because of the 2016 Goodreads Reading Challenge. So I've been staying on track for that, and I'm glad that it's been working out so far. The first book that I read this month was Terms of Use by Scott Alan Morrison, and it was a pretty interesting book, but it wasn't anything that stood out to me. I randomly picked it out knowing that it was about some sort of computer program. It was just not a topic that I'm genuinely interested in reading about. I only ended up giving the book 2 stars on Goodreads, so it wasn't a very fun read for me. The next book that I read was Ruin and Rising, which is the 3rd book in the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. And I really enjoyed that series because it was the first series that I started reading as I was getting into the young adult books. And I ended up giving this book 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite book of the series, but I still enjoyed it. I thought that it was a good conclusion to the series, and I was pretty happy with the ending. The next book that I've read is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, and I actually reviewed this book earlier on my channel, so I will link that video down below in case you're curious about this book. This is a short story, and it's done in her normal style, which is excellent, and if you do like Gillian Flynn, then I would recommend this book, even though it was way too short for me, and I wish there was more where that came from. So I hope she comes out with some new books soon, and I just need some more of Gillian Flynn in my life. The next book that I read was A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I've also reviewed that book on my channel, so I'll make sure to link the video down below. This is a Sarah J. Maas book, and it's the first one in the series. I enjoyed it. It was a good read, and it was my first Sarah J. Maas book that I've read, so I was really pleased with her work. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to the 2nd book coming out this year. Then I also read American Housewife Stories by Ellis, which is a collection of short stories that are pretty interesting. I enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 3 stars just because some of the stories were pretty, not boring, but I didn't like them as much. But some of the stories were really neat, and they did have a little bit of a dark aspect to it, which I really enjoyed. And Amber in the Ashes was another book that I read. It's by Tahereh, and I also have a review of it on my channel as well, and I'll make sure to link it down below. I enjoyed this book. I thought it was very fast-paced. There's always something going on. The characters were pretty likable. They weren't doing anything crazy like some characters do when they're doing something they're not supposed to, and then it just makes things worse. But these guys, they were very reasonable. I liked them both. I ended up giving it 4 stars, and there is a 2nd book coming out, so I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. I think it should be a pretty good book. The next one that I've read was The Wrath and the Dawn, and I had mixed feelings about this book. I saw that a lot of people liked it, so I had really high expectations going in, and I feel like that may be the reason why I wasn't so blown away by this book. It was pretty interesting in terms of the setting. It's set in the Middle East, so I thought it was really unique, and it's not something that I've read before, but other than that, I thought it was okay. I'll probably read the next book that comes out in the series. I believe it comes out this year, but it wasn't my favorite. I jumped ahead here and read The Fairest, which is one of the books in the Lunar Chronicles, and I believe it comes right before Winter, which is the last book. And in this book, the main focus is Queen Lavanna, who is the evil queen, and the book is supposed to kind of let you know why she's the evil queen and why she's the way that she is and why she's so evil and things like that. I find that reading that book didn't make me like her any better. I thought she was okay, and I don't feel like you could justify her actions based on her previous experiences. I'm looking forward to reading the Lunar Chronicles and learning more about all of the characters, and now that I know a little bit about Winter, which is the last book in the series, I'm even more excited to read it because I know a little bit about what happened. Another book that I read was The Portable Veblen, and I also have a review for that. It's by Elizabeth Mckenzie, and it's the first book that I've read by that author. It was a pretty quirky, funny book, but I feel like it's probably not for everybody. I ended up giving it 3 stars on Goodreads. The next book that I read is The Fifth Wave by Yancey, and I've seen the previews for The Fifth Wave, and I didn't know that it was based on a book, so I looked into it and I saw that it was, so I thought that I should probably read the book rather than see the movie, so I did, and the book was actually pretty good. I didn't really know what it was about, I mean, besides an alien invasion type deal, and I enjoyed the book. It was very dark and sort of gruesome. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, but I thought it was a pretty good read. And the last one that I've read was Shatter Me, from the Shatter Me series. And I ended up giving that book 2 stars on Goodreads. I've seen some recommendations for this book, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try, but I did enjoy it. I just thought it was very uneventful. The whole love triangle, I wasn't a huge fan of. I just don't buy it. Like, I don't know. I like my books to have a little bit of sort of like realness to them in terms of like human relationships, and you just don't see that happening a lot, the whole love triangle thing. It just doesn't happen in real life very often, so I don't really like to read about that. So that was my biggest problem. So this is basically my wrap up for the January books. Please let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. Let me know what you're reading right now. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.